Enter crypt. Faint echo of dripping water and a musty smell of decay grows stronger as you descend. It is pitch dark. You're likely to be eaten by a grue. Light. In the crypt, the air is clammy and frigid. The stone walls damp and streaked with mud and lichen. Pale, swollen roots push through the cracks in the masonry. The smell of damp corruption is almost overpowering here, though the stars to the south lead toward fresher air. The walls of this chamber contain dozens of wide, shallow niches. In each niche, a coffin. Examine the niches. Oh, not niches. Nices. Rank upon rank of the ancient Verlac family remains are stacked away in this hole, left to crumble, and I've never seen that word before. Wow. And I think I do have quite a good vocabulary, but that's what reading does, right? Gives you new words, and it's beautiful. Left to crumble together, merging back into the dark matter which gave them birth. Above each niche is a nameplate indicating who was buried here and when they died. I'm gonna look up this beautiful word. Deliques. Oh! So it means something like melt away or or decompose or something, right?
Wegschmelzen.
No, that's the German word. Sorry.
To deliquiesce.
To deliquiesce. Beautiful. Beautiful word. I'm gonna remember this word. Deliquiesce. So there's everyone here. I mean, we can just look up all the peeps again, right? How about we start with but how do I do this? Maybe just look for Julia, is that enough? In the nameplates. The nameplate reads Julia Ward Verlac. Oh, wait a second. That's JWV. Oh, okay. We found it. Julia Ward Verlac. Artist who created the sketches in the master bedroom. Yeah. Things are starting to make sense. I love it. So that's Control X. We can delete that one. Julia Ward Verlac, author of the journal and artist who created the sketches in the master bedroom. There we go. The nameplate reads Julia Ward Verlac, born May 4th. Let's see if those numbers correspond. What? 1964. Died January 10th, 1997. Right, because I looked these up in the courthouse archives before, and maybe I made a mistake, but I don't think I did. Or or maybe the author made a mistake, or this is actually significant. I have no idea. 04, 05, 1964. Like the others, this coffin is built of solid oak, sealed with lead. The coffin is strongly built and sealed with lead. Without a chisel or crowbar, you won't be able to open it. Okay. So, look for Anna. The nameplate reads Anna Verlac, born June 24th, 1936, died March 23rd, 1962. Like the others. See if those correspond. Anna. 26. It's also different. I mean, again, maybe I made a mistake, but I don't think I did. Or 2406. 1936. 20. Death date is the same though. This is curious. Man, I know I really want to find out if I just made a mistake, but I don't. I'm usually not that. I'm usually pretty good when it comes to details like this, so that'd be curious. Anyhow, especially since it happened a second time now, I don't think that I made a mistake, and I also don't think that the author made a mistake. There must be significance in this. Let's see if it if the trend continues. So, look up Edward. Edward Verlac, born April 24th. I'm gonna put this on the other screen, that'll make it easier for me. No, that's the same, that's April 26th. And died March 14th, yeah. So, murdered his family is what I have here. Was put into the asylum, then killed himself by banging his head against the window a few weeks later. Look up William. No, we're gonna do William last, because I feel that's gonna be significant. Look up Elijah. Aha! Can't find that name anywhere, but then again, it may just be too corroded for you to read. Interesting. Did I spell that right? Yeah. But it says the same. When I just spell gibberish, it seems. Yeah, okay. How about Mordecai? Yeah, no, I definitely spelled that one right, though. So I guess the older ones are just too withered to read. Look up Wilhelm, look up Heinrich. Eustacia and Croceus. Also, another thing that's obviously like a reference is Croceus, right? Because there was this one king in Greece, I think it was. In the German translation, he's called Croesus. I'm not actually entirely sure what it's called in English. Was known for his wealth, right? Is that just Croceus, maybe? I'm gonna look that up. Croesus. Wikipedia. Croesus. Go to the English Wikipedia. That's Croesus, basically. How do you pronounce that in English? Croesus? Wikipedia says, yeah, Croesus. And Croceus, I mean, that's pretty close. Was the king of Lydia, who, according to Herodotus, reigned for 14 years. Croesus was renowned for his wealth. And I mean, the Verlacs are all obviously very wealthy and powerful people, so that makes sense. Is there something else in the history about Croesus that might come in handy here to know? The fall of Croesus made a profound impact on the Greeks, provided a fixed point in their calendar by the 5th century at least. J.S. Evans has remarked, Croesus has become a figure of myth who stood outside the conventional restraints of chronology. Well, in that sense, it's obviously similar to the Verlacs. I love these references. This is really well written. I love it. Cool. Um, Also, obviously, uh, crustacea. I mean, obviously, crustaceans. I mean, maybe not obviously, but at least to me, it makes sense. This whole Cthulhu myth obviously is tied to water and the sea and monsters from the sea and some sea quote-unquote monsters could be, how do you spell those or pronounce those rather? Crustaceous. Crustaceans, right? Crustaceans, crustaceans, you know, kinda. Well, anyhow, um, I'm learning words, I'm learning history, I'm learning biology. It's great. Um, so William, right? You want to look up William. The nameplate reads William Verlac, born. Let's compare these. 22nd June 1950. Oh, what? The date I've written down is 22nd June 1952. But here it says 1954. Died September 18th, 1958. Again, death date is the same. Like the others, William's coffin is a ramshackle affair of cheap pine, held together with rusting nails. It's half rotten with age and so shabbily built you could probably open it with your bare hands, and we will. But firstly, this difference in birth date, unless I made another mistake, which I really don't think, and unless the author made another mistake, which I also really don't think, is quite significant, right? Because if he was born in 1952, then he was 6 when he died. If he was born in 1954, he was 4 when he died. And for a child, that's quite a big difference. I know we heard before that he didn't end up being very old, of course. He died very young. And yet, according to the picture that we have in the locket, it looked weird and not quite right as well. And he was the fruit of a rape, of course, of his grandfather raping his mother, Anna, right? So there's something like extra demonic or unstable about him, and he died early because of that. But whether he died at age 4 or 6, we don't know. I'm going to write this down though. William Verlac, born 22nd June 1952 or 22nd June 1954. Right. Died 18th September 1958. So the info I have so far is he's Edward's brother, and the boy whose picture is in the locket, he died early. He's buried in the family crypt. We have question marks next to those. We can delete those question marks now. And he's the result of his grandfather raping his mother. So Anna is Edward's and William's mother. And I'm still not sure whether Edward is also the result of a rape or if Anna married later on and just had Edward as a regular child. I mean, as we know, of course, Edward carried the family curse as well. So Anna has presumably a husband that we don't know about, or not. Who was Anna's father, though? The one who raped her. Was that Wilhelm, or... No, he's way too early. Mordecai? Oh, that was maybe Mordecai, right. But then... So William was born... So definitely Edward was born after William died, so they never knew each other. But William was born in 1952 or 54, and Mordecai was accused of sympathizing with the communists in 56 or 8, I think, when he was 70. So I think Mordecai is Anna's father, the one who raped her, probably. Gonna put that in here. So Mordecai Reverend Prohibitionist, and he also looked particularly like Puritan and religious. So, you know, Elijah's grandson, Anna's father, question mark. William's father and grandfather. I mean, that's the fucked up stuff that happens when you rape your own children, and you have children with them, right? Is you are both father or and grandfather to someone. William's father and grandfather, question mark. So what we want to do now, I want to save first though. Open, or, I mean, let's look at it more. X Williams coffin. Open Williams coffin. Dear God. Compelled by gruesome curiosity, you dig your fingers under the soft rotting boards and pry up the lid. With a shriek of pulling nails and a shower of crumbling wood, the coffin comes open, and you look inside, expecting to find a child's tiny skeleton. Dear God. There's no child buried here. Instead, the coffin contains the only the worm-eaten bones of some kind of animal. Who would have buried an animal in place of the child that should have been interred here? And why would they do such a thing? Glumly, you look around at the rest of the coffins and realize that anyone who might have known the answer to these questions is probably already buried in this room. And I mean, my theory, of course, here being that these are actually William's bones, and he kind of transformed into a demon, or his demon spirit manifested, and he changed appearance and then died, or was even killed because of it by his parents and then interred here. So I guess these are actually his bones. Can I take them? Take bones. The skeleton is in pieces. Parts of it crumble even as you touch it. Only the animal's skull seems reasonably intact. Take skull. How Shakespearean of us. You pick up the animal's skull. The gruesome thing seems to leer at you with its bleached-toothy grin. Put skull in coat. Look. I think that's everything here, right? So we'll go outside. Close door. Lock door. Oh, wait a second. Unlock door. North. Close Williams coffin. I guess it's destroyed now, right? You damaged the lid while prying it open. Now it won't fit back onto the coffin. Okay. Well then. I have already opened it. Guess I broke the game a little bit. X lid. Okay, so I'll just go south, I think. Close door, lock door, put keys in pocket, switch off light, put light in pocket. All the housekeeping we have to do here. Right. Right, so another thing I noticed while I was playing off screen is that the gallery of pictures in the mansion um, always draws our attention to different scenes that then for some reason we can't find after. And it changes every time you enter, and there's actually quite a few different scenes. So I think it might be worthwhile looking at those now. So what we're going to do is go south. Or where do we want to go? Southeast, okay. South, kitchen. Close door. Lock door. Light. Lock cellar. Close cellar door. Lock cellar. Southeast. Put keys in pocket. Gallery. Right. The long oak-paneled room. A long oak-paneled room with doorways to the south and west. Paintings line the walls, mounted beneath small shaded lamps that would illuminate the canvases nicely if only the electricity were working. Still, even in the shadowed room, even in the shadowed gloom, you can see that all were done by the same artist. Probably, was it Heinrich? Known for his grotesques. Elijah Verlac. He was a reverend until 1862, accused of Confederate sympathies. Orator, painter from 1863 onwards, known for his grotesques. Sixth finger on the right hand. Okay. I bet that was Elijah. It's interesting how the names change as well over the course of history, right? First there's obviously I guess still it's a Greek reference to the rich king with Chryseis. Then there's German names, because they have German ancestry, Heinrich and Wilhelm. And then there's like Elijah and Mordecai, those are Jewish names if I'm not mistaken, right? And then there's English names, of course, with Edward and William and Anna and Julia. Interestingly, William obviously being the anglicized version of Wilhelm, his ancestor. So, yeah, now we gotta look at the paintings. I think we read this before, didn't we? But I'll read it again, but just once. All of them are bizarre, and most of them border on the grotesque. Yeah, that's Elijah. Alien landscape peopled by writhing, malformed creatures. Ancient temples built in strange, eye-bending architectures. Monstrous beasts crawling through shadows that cannot quite conceal their disturbingly human shapes. And see, this is also... this reminds me of the history of William as well, right? A kid who was like manifested his demon spirit and then kind of transformed into something that resembled more of an animal. Monstrous beasts crawling through shadows that cannot quite conceal their disturbingly human shapes. These seem to make up the bulk of the painting's subject matter, and yet, despite the fantastical nature, or is it fantastical, of the images painted, the style is neither abstract nor surreal. In fact, the level of detail approaches the photorealistic. Excruciating attention has been paid to light, shadows, and textures. Even the alien creatures are depicted with gruesome anatomical accuracy. I mean, I don't know how you would know that if you don't know how the original creatures look, but still. That's because they were painted from real models, I suppose. It is as though the artist had worked from actual living models rather than from what must have been a thoroughly deranged imagination. And the overall effect is rather chilling. So one scene in particular catches your eye, and that scene seems to always change when we enter here. So Let's look at that. So scene number 1. I think I need more. Fucking hell! I think I need more documents here. I think I'll make a new document. Text document. Anchorhead. Scenes in gallery. Oh no, no, not an RTF though. Give me a second. Yeah, whatever. Delete this. New text document. There we go. Scenes in gallery. Okay. So first, we have a young apprentice butcher who learns his trade in a slaughterhouse. The older man, heavy-set, thick jaw and sloping brow, holds his cleaver above a severed calf's head, looking expectantly at the boy as though demonstrating the proper technique. The boy, holding a smaller cleaver of his own, looks on attentively. It would be reminiscent of something by Norman Rockwell. Who's Norman Rockwell? Except for the frankly alarming amount of gore. The aprons and faces, both master and apprentice, are streaked with blood. Blood pools on the chopping block and overspills the gutters. Blood drips from the walls and from the skinned carcasses that can be seen hanging in the background. The two butchers stand ankle deep in a reeking abattoir. And there's something wrong with the boy. Most of his body is hidden behind the chopping block, but there are details about the parts you can see that don't seem to fit quite right. The arm holding the cleaver is slightly misshapen. For example, the fingers deformed in a way that you can't quite make out. And his neck seems just a bit too thick. And his head seems just a bit too large and blocky. His face looks normal enough, except that it seems to have been placed just slightly off-center. It's a very subtly disturbing effect. You shake yourself suddenly and realize you've been staring intently at the painting for minutes on end. You step back and rub your tired eyes. When you look again, however, the picture you were just examining is no longer in front of you. None of the other paintings have moved as far as you can tell, but that particular scene seems to have disappeared without leaving so much as a blank space on the wall. Mysterious. Also, same motif or same thought again, right? There is a Verlac, presumably, who's probably possessed by a demonic spirit, and it seems to manifest itself slightly, so that they're misshapen a bit, but just a little bit. And it stands to reason that this development gets worse over time, and it is worse in some Verlacs than in others, right? It was particularly bad, of course, in William, who probably transformed very fast and then died or was killed very fast at either the age of 4 or 6. But it did manifest in other Verlacs as well. For example, in Elijah the Painter, actually, who had a sixth finger, as we've seen on the painting. So I guess there goes the theory that the demonic spirit only manifests itself physically in Verlacs that are the result of something super evil, like a rape. That might still strengthen or fasten the process, though, right? As in William's case. But it does seem to apply to other Verlacs as well, to a lower degree. And this, I was just thinking of whether this boy that we're seeing here is William, but it can't be, because Elijah was obviously... Oh no, wait. It might be William, actually. Right? Because William is both Elijah's... No, Mordecai's. Never mind. Elijah was way before William. So it must have been... The boy that's depicted here must have been another Verlac. So I'll just have seen... 1. I'll just write down slaughterhouse. Slightly oddly shaped Verlac boy. Anything else I want to write down about this? I don't think so. So, we'll just go, I guess, west and east and look at the paintings and look at the scene. A somewhat Boschian scene, depicting a line of naked, emaciated men, their ankles shackled and chained together, seems like slavery, shuffling forward to offer what's obeisance? Is that like obedience? I'll look that up. I'll look that up. Obeisance. Oh, deferential respect, alright. How do you say that?
Obeisance.
Obeisance, alright. Also, Bosch. It's also like a painter or an artist or something, right? Well, obviously, if I look it up, it just gives me Bosch series and Bosch dishwashers. Or if I type in Boschian, Hieronymus Bosch, early Netherlandish painter known for his fantastic imagery, detailed landscapes, and illustrations of religious concepts and narratives. Like, let's bring up Wikipedia. Can I get up my browser over here? I guess so. Nothing secret in there. Right? There's some Boschian scene. Why is it so slow? Alright. Okay, so fantastic landscape, religious motifs. Yeah, makes sense. Okay. Obeisance to the glowing maw of an enormous furnace. The men are malnourished and covered with terrible burns. The foremost is kneeling, offering something. You can't make out what, up to the mouth of flames, while the rest stand as far back as they're able, their heads bowed in what appears to be fear and penitence. It isn't clear where this is supposed to be taking place. Beyond the fiery glow, there is nothing but soot-filled Stygian blackness. An artist's rendition of hell, perhaps? Also, the founder of the line, remember, he was born in Hell Valley in Germany, Höllental. For some reason, you're reminded of old photographs of the Nazi death camps, in which Jews are forced to feed the ovens of the corpses of their own. You shake yourself suddenly and realize you've been staring intently at the painting for minutes on end. Oh yeah, we had that before. Alright, so scene 2. Boschian. Men that are chained together. Emaciated. Reminiscent of Nazi death camps. A group of old midwives cluster around a bedridden woman who is apparently giving birth. The old women are wizened and grim, with crooked hands and blood-stained aprons. They seem to confer with each other in dark whispers that the younger woman, who's drenched in sweat and obviously in great pain, cannot hear. How can you glean that from a painting, that she can't hear? By the corner of the bed, an ominous detail, a bucket full of murky red water. Why is that an ominous detail? That seems pretty typical for like a birth scene, right? Strangely though, the old women are not the only ones present at the birth. Nearby in another bed lies a shriveled, decrepit old man. Although seemingly at death's door, he struggles to raise himself, as if to see the birthing over the heads of the hunched midwives. His wasted visage shows an expression of satisfaction or approval, and he's reaching out with one skeletal arm in a manner curiously similar to the famous picture of the Sistine Chapel of God giving life to his creation Adam. Ah, that's nice. That's the picture that's obviously in my channel description, right? With the reference, the creation of content. Creation of Adam. I mean, you probably know this one, but just in case you don't, I'll show you very quickly. Yeah, that's the creation of Adam, right? It's reaching out with one skeletal arm in a manner curiously similar to the famous picture. You shake yourself suddenly. Alright. So this is like a creation scene / birth scene. Very interesting. Scene 3. Birth / creation scene, including other old women midwives? Yeah. Including old midwives. And obviously what this represents, or is supposed to represent, is the passing of the spirit, I guess, right? Or the demonic spirit. From the older Verlac family member to the one that's just being born. And I guess in this way it makes sense that the curse skips a generation always, right? Because if it just jumped from father to son, then the father would have to die the very moment his son is born. I mean, I guess that would also be possible, but usually the death and birth of grandfathers and grandchildren are probably closer together. So then maybe the curse can actually pass from father to son then if the father dies right away at birth. I don't know. And the old man is happy and has his arms stretched out like God in this painting because he's creating a new Verlac demon, right? He's passing on his spirit. Now that I'm thinking of it that way, the scene we saw before this, the Boschian scene of emaciated men that are chained together, might also reference this eternal struggle and passing on of the demonic spirit. And the men that are painted like chained together might be the generations of Verlac men tied to each other by this curse or demonic spirit, forced to pass it on without ever being able to break out. You know what I mean? What's interesting though is that the old man in this picture seems happy about that though, whereas in the former picture the men were chained together, implying a forced nature of this curse, of course. Birth creation scene, including old midwives, passing on of Verlac curse / demonic spirit, question mark, including old midwives, dying man with stretched out arm, reminiscent of the creation of Adam. Cool. Right, next up, so let's go west and east and X paintings, X scene. A group of primitive tribesmen dance within a ring of standing stones beneath a lightened streaked sky. The dress and some of the fetishes they carry, feathers, rattles, ceremonial flasks, all seem to represent a Native American culture, but the men themselves are strange, look truly savage and degenerate, in a way that you don't often see Native Americans depicted. Peering closely, you can see that some of them even appear to be deformed. There we go again. Overlooking the dance stands a tall obelisk on a hill. An obelisk like in the center of Anchorhead, question mark? Silhouetted against the storm clouds above, the artist added a strange effect to the cloud formations directly above the obelisk. The color and shading seem to suggest a red, baleful eye looking down upon the strange ritual below. Hey there, Sauron. You shake yourself suddenly. Okay. That's that again. Hmm. I mean, obviously some Native Americans played a role in Anchorhead's history, right? And what's his name? Croceus, who founded Anchorhead, also made a peace treaty with the chieftain of that one tribe. Didn't write down the name of the chieftain of the tribe now. Maybe I should have. But later, one of his descendants was also in conflict with these Native Americans, I think, right? So there seems to be some tension there. And maybe the Verlac family curse goes back to them, if they're depicted like this as well. But then again, it says that Crucius was accused of heresy um, even before he came to the New World. So even back in Germany, he was accused of heresy. So he might have dabbled in dark magic even back then. And that might be the origin of the curse, or the Native Americans might. We'll have to find out. So, scene 4. Native. That's capitalized, okay. Native American tribesmen dancing, slightly deformed. Dancing around an obelisk. Red eye in the sky looking down on them. Alright. West, east. X paintings, X scene. The simple but striking image of 5 women being burned to death at the stake. Around them stand a crowd of men and women dressed in rustic 17th century clothing, not clothing. They jeer and throw stones. The ringleader, standing in front of the 5 glowing pyres, with smoking torch still in his hand, wears a clergyman's collar. The artist obviously went to painstaking lengths to depict the burning in ghastly detail. Skin curling away from blackened flesh, hair shriveling, eyes boiling in their sockets and melting across cracked and splitted cheeks, repeated 5 times over on the bodies of 5 thrashing, screaming girls. Turns your stomach to look at it. Obviously, 17th century clothing. God. So this means probably that this is Wilhelm Verlac's time, right? He fled the 1563 witch burnings in Anchorhead with his mother. Eustacia. Then returned 10 years later, eventually became mayor of Anchorhead. These witch burnings, who is that though? Can't be Eustacia, because she fled, right? Maybe some other women from the Verlac family, or someone else, maybe opponents of the Verlac family even. The number 5 might be significant, of course. 5, pentagram. Other than that, I don't know. So yeah, that goes in our scenes in gallery. Scene 5. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if there were like 5 different scenes here all in all. So this is 5 young women being burned at the stake in the 17th century. So obviously these paintings, they might represent scenes in the Verlac family history, of course. When did Elijah live again? In the 19th century, yeah. So obviously that was before his time. West, east. X paintings. examine scene. Right? So now it seems to start repeating itself. So it's 5 scenes all in all. Maybe there's more. I'll try a couple more times. Revolutionary period. Yeah, the group of Native Americans. Oh no, wait. This is new though, right? Yeah. So there's more than 5 scenes. Fair enough. Okay. A group of white men in revolutionary period clothing taking prisoner a group of Native Americans. The exact situation is unclear. The white men stand around with muskets threatening, while the natives, who are chained together, file into a fenced enclosure, as though being herded into a compound of some sort. In the extreme background, at the far end of the enclosure, stands a large brick building. Dark, grainy smoke billows up from 2 stone chimneys rising above the structure. Leaning very close, you can just make out another group of natives being herded into the structure by more of the white men. Oh, everything has so much info in them and ties to so many other things in this story. It's so cool. So obviously these aren't numbered. Maybe I should put them in like chronological order later on. So this is Native Americans chained together, being forced into a large brick building, right? Or a fenced enclosure. Into an enclosure. And obviously this is reminiscent of the Boschian emaciated men that are chained together. Reminiscent of the Nazi death camps. Obviously this is even more reminiscent of the Nazi death camps, right? Especially with the large brick building in the back and dark rainy smoke that billows up from 2 stone chimneys, implying that the Native Americans got burned in this building. Or killed like en masse, like in the Nazi concentration and death camps. Pretty grim stuff. What makes me think a little bit though is that the Boschian scene with the emaciated men that are chained together, of course, when I read that, I thought about, you know, the Verlac family curse and one generation chained to the next one or the one after the next one, and the curse like kind of chaining the generations together and them not being able to break out. Also, I think in that scene, in the Boschian scene, it was white men that are chained together, right? So it stands to reason that these were the Verlacs. And the theory that's just forming in my head right now is that the Native Americans put the curse on the Verlac family after basically they committed genocide and wiped out their tribe in these death camps, right? Having them chained together. And then, metaphorically speaking, they chained together all the generations of the Verlac family with this curse. That would be, like, mind-blowingly, like, I was about to say cool, but it's not cool in this sense. It's pretty grim and atrocious, of course, but that would make sense as a metaphor. Chaining the family together and kind of forcing them to be mad and demonic and forcing death upon them eventually, just like they chained together the Native Americans and put them in these death camps. Also, this is slightly like reminiscent of the quote-unquote paper mill, right? Was the paper mill the building that they used as a like death camp for the Native Americans? Was it used as a death camp later on as well? This just reminds me of all the children that went missing like over the course of the centuries. Did Did they get put in there as well? Was that the reason that the mill burned down sometimes? Why did it burn down? Was it the inmates? Was it someone opposing the Verlacs? The Verlacs then rebuilt it and used it again. And also, how does the curse tie together with the fact that the Verlacs ended up being quite powerful and wealthy, especially in Anchorhead throughout history, even though they were afflicted by the curse, and eventually accused of something, each of them in their lifetime. Interesting, really interesting. Wait, what? No. Paintings. Are there more? No, this is the same one again. Being forced into an enclosure. Then a death camp. Question mark. So this is the Boschian scene. These are lined, naked, emaciated men. I mean, that they're white was just my inference, of course, because of my my personal presuppositions, I guess. Yeah. They're led into an enormous furnace, so they are going to be burned. The men are malnourished and covered with terrible burns. Foremost is kneeling, offering something. So I took this to mean metaphorically the Verlac curse, but it seems to refer back to the Native Americans in the other scene, right? But maybe also metaphorically to the Verlac curse. Maybe there's like both going on here. The heads bowed in what appears to be fear and penitence. Artist's rendition of hell, perhaps. That's new, isn't it? A madman, clad only in a filthy, ragged loincloth, his thin body covered with dirt and sores, dances wildly on a precipice between two massive metal pillars. His long grey hair whips about his face in an unseen wind. Behind him, beyond the precipice, violet clouds seethe and roil. He seems to be playing some strange sort of wind instrument, like a flute. I have a flute. Making the whole scene look oddly like a macabre Jethro Tull album cover. Oh, I love that they're referencing Jethro Tull in this. I love him. I don't know what the album covers look like, though. Let's find that out. But there's flutes in Jethro Tull. We'll look at Wikipedia, maybe. Oh god, yeah, discography, I guess. Studio albums, this was... Okay, let's bring this up here. That's their logo. Yeah. Stand up. Benefit. Aqualung. I mean, yeah. Has something grotesque about it. For sure. Minstrel in the galley. Yeah. Okay, makes sense. The scene doesn't really give us any other info though, right? Scene 7. Madman playing flute. Wait a second. On a precipice between two massive metal pillars. His long grey hair whips about his unseen wind. Behind him, beyond the precipice, violet clouds seed and roll. Seems to be playing the same sort of wind instrument, like a flute. The whole scene looked like yeah. I was just thinking of whether this betrays maybe a location that I need to play the flute in, like next to the lighthouse or something on the coast there somewhere. Two massive metal pillars. I mean, one of them, could that represent the lighthouse maybe? I have no idea. Is there more? We've had that. We've had that. We've had that. I'll try a couple more times, but I think we're through. No, this is new. God, how many more is there? I mean, it's gonna be hard to find them all if it's just random, the one you get. Because you gonna end up getting the same ones a lot of the time. Alright, so it's not 7 scenes. 7 would have been a nice number, though. A strange scene showing only a clergyman staring down at the pages of a large black-bound book. Point of view is that of someone standing beneath the pulpit, looking up, so that the text of the book is hidden from the viewer, while the preacher's face is clearly visible. He seems to be caught in a paroxysm, I'm gonna have to look that up, of terror, his face livid, his lips stretched back in a gruesome rictus, his eyes bulging wide and shot red with blood. That's like all Verlacs, right? All Verlacs that are afflicted by the curse. The cords in his neck are rigid and taut, as though they were straining to tear his gaze from the page. As though he was straining to tear his gaze from the page. And yet still grips the edges of the pulpit with whitened knuckles. So, scene 8. Clergyman. At pulpit. Can't take his eyes off a book. Oh, that's not how you spell book, oh god. Off a book. Also, paroxysm. Paroxysmal attack, or paroxysm, is a sudden recurrence or intensification of symptoms, such as a spasm or seizure. Yeah. Various clinical conditions. Alright. What do you say that? It doesn't say here. Never mind. Never mind then. Can't take eyes off a book. That might be the, this book might be the manual, maybe? You know, this one. Written by one Galerian Academius Deschamps. Theory and practice of magical wards and seals. But I can take manual in manual. Because the amulet has the same sign that's as the graffiti on that one wall, right? And if this is about mystic symbols inscribed on doors and containers, then they should be in here. I need to get the game to accept my input though somehow. Drop manual. Put manual in pocket. Put all in pocket. Oh, I'm still carrying the broom. Alright. Right. West, east. X paintings. X scene. Yeah, we've had that one. That was the first one actually. West, east. Oh, I can just do this without looking at the paintings first. Okay. So west, east. West, east. West, east. Yeah, no, we've had that. I think they just start repeating now, right? Oh no! This is still new. A simple scene, without the gruesome and fantastic detail that embellishes so many of the other paintings. A sailing ship on dark waters, coming into port in the dead of night. A lighthouse, standing tall in the distance, lights the way. You shake yourself suddenly. Okay. So, I mean, this might be Crusaders arriving in the New World, right? Then again, the lighthouse might also be the Anchorhead lighthouse that was only built later, so we don't know. Scene 9. Ship coming into port. West, east, scene. 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 Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, we have 9 now, maybe there's a 10th one, but I mean, if it's that different to get to them, then I don't think... I mean, that would be kind of stupid, right? If you could only win the game if you made it through this RNG of which scene is shown and then you stumble across the correct one by accident. We do have 9 scenes now, which is pretty good. We didn't get any points for this though, which is interesting. So maybe this is just like to understand the background a bit better. This is not actually to advance the game, I think. Alright, that was kind of interesting though. Let's save this. And yeah, that actually took another hour, so we'll take another small break here.